All right, good evening. How's everybody doing today?
Right.
Good. For those that don't know, formal introduction, I'm Pamela Trafton. I'm Neighborhood Improvement Services Coordinator, City of Jacksonville. And we are in our April meeting with just a few more months left of school. Oh my gosh, how do y'all feel about that?
I don't feel so great about it.
You don't feel great about it?
They want to
Not
stay
really,
in school
'cause
longer.
Exams and exams are coming. I'm like,
Oh, I'm lucky. I don't have to deal with any of that this
stop
semester.
teasing.
Hey, it's based on luck and what classes you have. Some classes do, other classes don't. It just depends.
Gotcha. Well, hopefully we can lighten the load a little bit. We do have, let's see, we're in April, so we have May and June that we have our monthly meeting scheduled. And then take a little bit of a break over the summer, but we still do some activities. And then we kick back off in August with National Night Out. So we have a lot more activities going forth. So tonight we have with us Miss Amy and Mr. Chris from Onslow County Health Department to go over our third session of Catch My Breath. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Miss Amy and Mr. Chris.
Thank you. All right, so, starting with the third session, we have, what's some things we've talked about? I know, I have to look at you because they're not here. Do you know any of the things we've talked about?
College-wise.
Basically, sum it all up. Vaping and all about stuff about vaping and how you shouldn't do it and tricks people do. Like,
Yes.
kind of tricks.
Sorry. Nobody saw that. I had the wrong foot down. Oh, I was scooting. Yes, vaping, tricks. Who's doing tricks?
Advertising.
Advertising tricks, right? And advertising targeting.
Yeah.
You know, they're targeting teens, targeting youth. Definitely, we talked about a lot of those. Can we?
There have been ads on YouTube about that type of advertising and stuff like that.
Okay, so ads being directed towards vaping prevention.
Kind of like what the ads and type of stuff do.
Okay, good. That's great. So yep, we've talked about that. We've talked about the detriments to our health. We've talked about peer pressure, not just peer pressure, but self pressure. Put pressures on ourselves. What else? Health, social consequences, whether it's through school or through home. So today we're going to dive a little bit more into the media targeting, the advertising tricks. We're going to talk about some refusal skills, and if we get a chance to dive into it, we're going to talk about a social media activity that we can do. We can go to the next slide. I forget, do I get a clicker? Oh, I get a clicker here, don't I? I'm sorry. All right, so do you remember the adult interview that I handed out with the last one? It's okay, sorry, Caleb, I know it looks like I'm putting you on the spot because you're the only one that
I don't remember that.
So we had an adult interview, and that we were sending home, but we can send it home. We will send it home tonight,
I don't remember that.
which is absolutely fine. We'll send home the adult interview, and on the front it asks, you're gonna ask any adult the questions, and it was kind of like the true false questions that we did in
Yeah, I don't think we got
session.
that.
Okay, so the first page asks like vaping facts to see if the adult knows about these common vaping facts that you should know about because you were in the session 1 and 2. But an adult that doesn't, you know, if I didn't know this and I wasn't teaching catch, I wouldn't know the answers to these questions. So just kind of testing your adult. And then on the back, it asks peer pressure questions. So while vaping wasn't around when I was in school, I think when Miss Pam was in school here, there was still peer pressure. There's always been peer pressure. It's always one thing or another. Once vaping fad is out, there'll be something else for the next generation. So we talk about those peer pressures.
Something I've heard, but I don't know if it's true, is the peer pressure to go out and drink.
Well, there's anything that somebody is trying to convince you to do that you feel you don't want to do or shouldn't do would be considered peer pressure. right? And peer being this way, but there's also the media pressure. So that we have these pressures, peers, like Ms. Pam would be my peer. So if she was pressuring me to do something I didn't want to do, it would be considered peer pressure. You're right. Yes.
Question: when it comes to peer pressure, when you're watching the commercial, sometimes there will be like about vaping and not vaping, but isn't that still peer pressure because they're selling it in stores? Why isn't it the government doing anything about it? Why is there still stores where you see and you come in and you're like, others get addicted to it? Why is it still in the government?
So as of right now, it's not, that's a great question. It's a question we all have, actually. I shouldn't say we all have. It's definitely a question the health department has. And I know a lot of parents and adults have this question too. I don't have the long answer. The short answer is it's not regulated. Why it's not regulated and the policies behind that and what they're allowed to say, you can't do this or you can do this, I honestly can't tell you. I honestly don't know. I can tell you, I can look a little bit more into it and maybe get you some answers though.
Because I was told in school, we had police officers come and tell us what things that we shouldn't do and what things we shouldn't do. But when you walk into a store or like Walmart, for instance, you see things that shouldn't be in the store. Like smoking is bad and it causes cancer. So if smoking is bad and it causes cancer, why is that still in there? Like they say that we're supposed to care for the world. That's not really caring for the world because it's still like saying, hey, buy this. Oh, it'll be great for you. And then next 5 minutes you realize that you get sick.
I don't think stores, like when it comes to that type of thing, I don't think they personally care about your welfare. I feel like they more care about just making money.
You're
Yeah,
right,
but
and I think she's saying though, why are they allowed to do this if it's poor for our health? So, I mean, and again, this is not the catch program, this is just but also the government I know the government can only regulate so much. So they can't tell you, you know, chocolate chip cookies are bad for you, we're not allowed to have any chocolate chip cookies. Or, you know, this is bad for you, you can't do this. They can to some degree, and that's why there are illegal drugs and that such. There are some things that they say no to, but they can't say no to all these things, but it is in their control to raise age limits so that at least you're making a decision with your brain a little bit more developed and able to make those harder choices of whether am I going to make this choice that may be bad for my health, or, you know, now I'm old enough to realize at 21, like maybe this is a bad choice. So
About that, when you said that we should make choices either, but I still have another question. My question is, if there are bad decisions, why? Because I learned in history that we still trade from China and different parts of the world. So if we're trading, why can't the government say, hey, this is not good for our country and this is not helping your country, so we probably should ban this from my country or from other countries? Because I'm pretty sure if the government was to have a child, let's say one of the governments have a child, they wouldn't want their child smoking, they wouldn't want their child doing all of that, even though the government might say, even though the kid might have an option, they shouldn't even have the option, shouldn't even do things like that because it would impact and it would cause bad negative effects on their body.
you're wise beyond your years, and I think you have found your area of passion, and I think that is absolutely amazing because we need more people advocating on that side and the government side. So yes. One more quick thing, and we gotta push forward because I'm only on slide 1. And Miss Pam's gonna cut me off soon.
For the amount of people that do it, kids or not kids that do that type of thing, the amount of act back that would be for it would be way too great for it to be banned.
Maybe.
Yeah, it is something that we are in a society that we vote on, right? And so, as far as policies, I would love to dive more deep. And this is my thing too, so I absolutely love it. But I do know what I can do right now, and in my power is to educate. And so to educate you a little bit more, and that may even help you when you're talking to people that vape, teens that vape, or whoever, you will have more information to even talk to them about and your plethora of reasons why it is bad, right?
Mhm.
So we're gonna talk about pressures that other people place on us. So this is long, and I'm seeing if I have my glasses on. I don't, but it might be big enough.
I got you. Here we go.
Do you wanna read it?
I got
So I think this works really well. Do you wanna be,
you want to
you
role
can
play?
be Xavier, yeah, you can
Okay.
be Xavier, and then we'll kind of pass by the other role playing.
Okay.
Alyssa and I did this the other day and it was a little fun. So, who wants to be, I can be Liz, who wants to be Tess? I know you don't even know what the story is about, signing up for something. Will you be Tess in our story?
I'll do it.
Okay, you don't have to read anything as of right now. And then we'll go. All right, you wanna read?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Liz is hanging at her friend's Tess house one Tuesday after school to watch the new episode of their favorite show. They
All
have
right, I'm hanging over here at Tess.
They have been
Tess's
having a lot of fun snacking and talking about their favorite characters. When the show is over, their friend Xavier starts a group chat with them and some others to talk about the episode. After a while, Xavier mentions that there are some people hanging out at his place and invites Liz and Tess to join.
All right, stop for a second. So, Tess and I, you're Tess, right? I'm Liz. All right, so Tess and I are hanging out, right? We're enjoying our snacks, we're watching our favorite show. And Xavier, what are you doing over there? What did you just do?
We just chilling at the moment, talking about the episode. We're starting a group chat.
Right? You started a group chat, you
Yeah.
chatted us and said, all right. All right, what's happening?
They find out that, among others, Emma and Brian are there. This makes Liz nervous because she has heard that these other two vape and already knows that both she and Tess do not want to start vaping. Tess really wants to go, though, because they haven't seen Xavier since he moved to a different school.
All right, so there's the scene. Tess and I hanging out. Xavier just texted and said, hey, you want to hang out? And of course, we're really excited. Why are we excited? Because he's just moved. He moved to a different school. We haven't seen him in a long time. So we want to go see Xavier. But what's the problem?
Emma and Brian, what are we doing?
What's the problem? What about Emma and Brian? Why would we maybe not want to go see Xavier right now?
Because there are two people that are going over there that want that vape and they don't want to participate.
Right, we know they vape. We don't want that pressure on us, but we really want to see Xavier. See what happens. All right, this is the last one of the story, I promise.
When they get to Xavier's place, Liz is excited to see her old friend, but feels uncomfortable being around new people and not knowing what they'll think about her. After a while, Brian pulls out an e-cigarette. Liz sees Tess cringe at the smell and try to wave away the cloud of smoke without anyone noticing. After a few puffs, Brian points it towards Emma, who takes a puff, then passes it to someone else.
All right, stop right there. All right, what's happened?
They're smoking.
Right, so I'm looking at you, I'm Liz, so I'm looking at you and you're cringing, right? Because you know it's coming. You know they're passing something around, right? And now here it comes.
I stopped at else, didn't
I think you did, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, you keep stopping me.
Liz's stomach starts to feel weird, and her palms are getting sweaty. She looks at Tess, but Tess just shrugs and gives Liz a worried look. As the vape gets passed around, most people take a puff. Then someone offers it to Liz. She doesn't want to vape, but with all these people around, she isn't sure what she should do.
All right. Everybody knows the feeling of something's about to happen and I'm nervous. Maybe it's reading out loud. You know, it's about to be your place in the book to have to read, right? And so the teacher's gonna come around or they're gonna ask you the question. It's my turn to answer that question, whatever it is. You're sitting there with your sweaty palms thinking like, oh, like don't come to me, don't make it me. So how do you think they're feeling? How do you think Liz and Tess is feeling right now? Everybody been in that kind of position? I think we've all, to some degree, right? Maybe it's not vaping. You've never been nervous about something?
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's a spelling bee. Maybe it's a band concert. Maybe it's a basketball game, right? Oh, coach is about to put me in.
Chess competition.
Chess competition. All kinds of things, right? It could be something that's exciting and you're happy for. Now, this isn't, but still that nervousness is coming. So, even though Liz knows she doesn't want to vape, what factors might make it harder for her to say no?
Because she's with her
Everybody
friends.
else is doing it.
Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
Because she don't want her friends to think she's not cool.
Right, yes,
Which is
She
stupid.
she don't think
Right.
that it's most likely. She don't think that she doesn't want to vape because she knows that she shouldn't, and she already knows the rules of the effects of vaping. She decides not to, and I would.
well, we don't know yet.
I know.
Oh, you're playing a story out. I like that. I like it. So, but what might make it hard would be that she doesn't want to be uncool. She wants to fit in. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm an extrovert, but I want to blend in. I don't want to stand out. I only like the scooter because it makes me stand out. I don't like it. So I could see in a situation, that's a lot of pressure. You don't want to stand out. You don't want to make it a thing. You don't want to make it a big deal. All right. So we're going to talk about different things that Tess and Liz could have done or could do, because she hadn't really made a choice, right, in the story. So we're talking about avoiding, refusing, and exiting. An acronym, R. So what could Liz have said or done to avoid the situation? So when you think about avoiding means you never even got yourself in that situation. Okay, they never even went to Xavier's. So what could they have done to avoid the situation?
Change the subject into another topic about something more important.
You're talking about like in the text chat or at their house, at Xavier's house? So avoiding.
I would say both. I would change the subject, and then when I get to their house, I would change the subject about smoking, because maybe you might not feel so uncomfortable, so you would just say, hey, I'm not really comfortable about this. So I'm not in this. That's what I'd say.
All right, hold on a second, save those, because those are on point. It's not avoiding, but it's on point for the next one's coming up. So avoiding is you never even went to Xavier's house. What could their other choices have been? We want to see Liz, she's Tess, we want to go see Xavier, right? We want to see him, so what could we have done different?
Video call.
Do a video call. I actually haven't heard that option, that's awesome. Yes, we could have said, hey, let's video chat instead. We're in the middle of our show, right? What else? Were you gonna say something, Manuel?
I would say I'm coming and not show up.
I'll give you credit, because I haven't heard that one yet either.
That is an avoid.
Nice to our friends. What about our exam? That is avoiding. That would be nice to our
West.
What about
Invite them to your house.
What about that? Yeah, not Em and Brian, but what about inviting Xavier to your house tomorrow, the next day, right? You still want to see him, so that gives you a chance to see him, but not be in that situation. Or ask, hey, can we hang out another day? So what'd they say? Plan a time to hang out with Xavier and Tess when the other people wouldn't be there. So you're avoiding Emma and Brian altogether, just in case that situation arises. She could have told Tess that she wasn't allowed to leave her parents without her parents' permission, right? Because she was at the other house. Or told Tess that she didn't feel like going, right? Which is the truth, because she doesn't feel like being in that kind of situation, right? All right, so refusing. Now, let me back up a little bit. I'm not gonna actually back the slides up, but let's back up a little bit. So we're talking about all these strategies, right? To get ourselves either out of a situation or not put ourselves into the situation. But just so you also know, the word no is all you need. You don't need all these strategies. You don't have to necessarily avoid, unless parents want it avoided. You don't have to come up with some elaborate excuse as to why you're not going to or don't want to. And you don't have to make a quick exit if something happens. All you have to say is no. But it, as a parent of teens, actually gives me the chills. I have 3 teens myself, so I get it. But we also want to give you stuff in your toolbox that you can pull out if you feel like, because you may feel like, oh, I can say no, that's what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say no. And then you get in that situation and you're like, oh, it's awkward, and these are strategies that it's not just for vaping. All those other peer pressures we talked about, you can avoid these situations, refuse and exit in any kind of peer pressure situation that you don't feel comfortable with or you would prefer to get out of. All right, so all that, say no. Say no if somebody offers you tobacco products. How could we refuse? And I believe, Jacqueline, you said a couple of them, right?
You can change the subject, as I said before.
Okay,
You can
yeah.
change the subject. You can go a different route of not going, as Emmanuel said. And you could also not just like saying, let's just probably not do this again because I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's exactly, that is
Or
definitely a good refusal.
Or like pretty much telling them what they're putting in their body. Like
Yeah.
basically saying, you keep doing this for 5 years, you're gonna have cancer or you're gonna be dead. Like just scare
You're
them.
informing them, yeah. And once we go through some of the, when you see here the session 1 and 2, from that one, it'll give you even more like facts and numbers and, stuff to tell them. Because I know a lot of times for me, until I learned, it was kind of like, it's bad for you. But to have some actual, this is why it's bad for you,
I have some of that in the notebook that I'm going to presentate for the next meeting.
Nice. All right, so we could say, no thanks, I'm good. Those things are really bad for you, so you're giving them a little bit of information about it. I can't, I have soccer tryouts next week. So we talked about how it affects our health, right? We talked about how it affects our lungs. So you play sports, you sing, anything you need your lungs for, like living. I can't, I have whatever, sports wise, you want to be at the top of your game. No pun intended. No way, I hate the smell of those things, right? That's also an opportunity. So how could Liz exit the situation? So she didn't avoid it. She went to Xavier's house, which if she's going to stand her firm ground, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but she went and she maybe doesn't want to refuse. So how could she exit the situation altogether?
Just leave.
She could just get up and leave, right? Yeah? What else could she do? Yes.
She could just look at them and then stare at that thing and then look at them like, you think I'm really gonna take this or not?
So I think that's a great refusal because you have refused, right?
One thing, the biggest question is, do the parents even know they doing that?
You're right. That's a good refusal too. You're adding some information and at least causing them to think for a second. Even if they're not thinking right now, I feel like later, they might be thinking about something, consequences. So exiting. Do you guys want to watch the trailer for next week's episode? Totally changing the subject. And I think you said something about that earlier too, Jacqueline. Where's the bathroom? Oh shoot, it's 8:30 already. I gotta get back. Right? Oh. So most teens have phones on them. I got a text, I got a call, or whatever. You can step out and take your call. Whatever gets you out of that situation, at least to give you a chance to think about the decisions you're about to make, and it gives you a chance to, process all the things. If you decided you didn't want to vape, but we're in this situation, do you think it would be hard for you to say no?
No.
Be honest. Be honest. It's okay to say yes, because it would be hard. In some situations, peer pressure is hard. It's tough. So to say yes, it would be hard to say no is not unusual. In fact, if I had a room full of teens and they were all like, no, it wouldn't be hard, I'd be like,
In this situation,
it's tough.
in this specific situation, she made no, it would
Awesome.
be hard.
All right. Good. All right, so there is a role.
You figured it out.
Yeah, and we don't have to actually do the role playing. I think it's I don't think I filled it out actually.
Okay.
I think it's hiding right there.
Yeah, go right there.
Do you mind giving them each one? Or I can give one to Caleb if you want to give.
I know Cameron
Oh
has to
shoot,
look at that.
I was about to say, I'm gonna need one too, because I'm not gonna be able to put them up there. Oh shoot, here, you take these.
Right.
Yeah, you'll hang those out.
You want one?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't want one too, my
Yes,
good.
please.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, oops. Oh my goodness. All my eyeballs are sunglasses, I don't know how that happens. Yeah, left on there. All right, we're gonna have to bear with me. Okay. So, the scenario with the first one is. Okay, you need a what? A pen?
Yeah.
Well, we got
We have
pens.
pens, he's got some pens.
Yeah.
And you don't have to write it down right now, you can give them a pen if they wanna jot some notes down. We're just gonna kind of talk about it. You guys have been in school all day. You've probably been writing your hand off.
You want to see Jacqueline?
Yes, please.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, so the scenario is kind of like what, we just went through a scenario. Let's do scenario 2. So who wants to be the friend and who wants to be the one that says you? Will somebody volunteer to be these people? Which one do you want to be? You'll do friend? Who wants to be you that makes up their strategies of avoiding, refusing, or exiting?
Me.
Awesome.
I was
All right.
writing.
That's okay. I'll read the scenario part. So the scenario is you're on the bus ride home when you hear some friends behind you laughing. You see that someone brought an e-cigarette and a few people are trying it. You don't want to vape, but you also don't want to feel left out. What does a friend say?
The first one or the second one?
So it's going to go like a conversation back and forth. So Jacqueline, you're going to read where it says your friend.
Here, try it.
On the second scenario, sorry.
Sorry.
Where it says we're all trying.
We're trying all Taylor's vape. You in?
Now, what's going to be your response, Emmanuel? So she just looked at you and said, we're all trying Taylor's vape. You in? How could you respond to that?
One puff.
No, you're going to come up with your response. So
Yeah,
this
we're
is
having a conversation.
You're
like
having a
So I'm
conversation.
supposed to be the person that's saying like that's bad.
Yes.
One puff of that and you got lead and glass inside your lungs.
Nice. All right, so what are you going to say, Jacqueline? You're right here.
One puff ain't gonna kill you. Just try it.
Do you think if somebody offers you something, if somebody offers you something like that, and you just say, "Oh, no, I don't want it." Do you think they might stop there? Maybe they'll keep on, right? So if you have one trick in your pocket, you might need a couple more. So, so what are you going to say to that, Emmanuel? She just told you one puff isn't going to kill you. Just try it. What are you going to say?
It's messing your head up.
I love it. All right, Jacqueline. Hold on. What do you say next?
Why are you making it such a big idea? Why are you making such a big idea? Everyone's doing it.
Just because everybody else do it doesn't mean it gives me the choice to do it too. I do the
Ooh,
opposite.
nice. Just because everyone else is doing it, you have the choice, right? That's your body. They're not making the choices for you. You're making the choices for yourself. What would you have said? Did you think of something you would have said? That's all right. That's all right. If you think about it, let us know. All right. Well, that's what that is going forward. Let's see here. All right. Media, promotion, and advertising. Miss Pam, how much time do you need at the end? Or am I already over my limit?
You're good. I'll
Okay.
be probably 5 minutes.
Okay. You'll need about 5 minutes. There's okay. Advertising. This is my favorite part because to me it hits home the most. Advertising facts. So in 2019, nearly 9 in 10 middle and high school students reported exposure to tobacco products, advertisements, or promotions from at least one source. That's 2019. It's 2023. You see the vape shops popping up. I am certain that number is more than 9 in 10. I feel like if you've driven down the road, that will be a 10 in 10. 10 out of 10. And the facts are that they show that the more that the young people are exposed to the advertising, the more likely they are to pick up a habit. I compare this to the more times I see pictures of French fries and chocolate cake, the more times I'm gonna wanna eat it, right? The more you see something, the more you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, that sounds good, or that, whatever.
See, that's
Unless you
advertising.
really hate that one.
For me, that's not the same thing with vaping. I'm just saying if somebody was curious about something, the more they're exposed to it, the more likely they are to try it. Just think about it, if you weren't exposed to it at all, you definitely
But
aren't gonna
at the
try it,
same
right?
time, you
There you
gotta
go.
make sure who you're hanging out with.
Absolutely, that plays into the avoiding.
Because negative people makes you negative. Like if you hang around, because
You're very right.
I was taught in middle school, my first day of middle school, I was taught that if you hang around with certain people, it's gonna make you like look negative. But if you hang around good people, it's gonna make you feel open and good about yourself.
You do start becoming your company, whoever, you're hanging around, having those positive influences, it makes it a lot easier to make those positive choices. Absolutely.
I was exposed to this stuff at like a really early age.
Yeah.
But I never knew anything about it, and it hadn't really affected me. I just personally never really liked it. And
Good.
I managed to get my parents to quit though.
Nice. Good. All right. Tobacco and e-cigarette industry spends a lot of money on advertising. It boils down to about $1 million an hour. That's how much all the companies, if you put them all together, how much they're putting into their marketing financially. So yeah, my question is then
like, caring about the world.
Let me tell you what they're caring about. I'll tell you in a minute what they're caring about. They're not, okay, I'm gonna stay on topic, sorry. I just keep on going.
That's propaganda.
All right, you are a target, okay? Teens, youth. Why would they not be targeting a 70-year-old? Yes.
The reason they're not gonna target you guys because they know that you guys are smart. You guys know how to make decisions. Well, specifically mature decisions. Not saying that we're all perfect in any way. They're gonna target us because they like messing with our minds, and that's what they do to all of us, I would say, because in the commercials they're messing with our minds like, hey, you should really try this, but then again, don't try it. So like, if you don't want us to try it, why are you even putting it on a commercial?
Right, and we're actually gonna look at some of those ads too.
Not to be off topic, but you totally just called them old.
I wasn't gonna go there when I actually said a 70-year-old. That's okay. But you're right. You're absolutely right. So as an adult, typically your brain is more mature, and so you're more apt to make more educated decisions. You've experienced more things in life, so you think about your health a little bit more than say a teenager would, all those kinds of things. What's a financial reason? What's a money-driven reason why they would want to target a teen opposed to somebody that's, say, 70?
The reason they would want to target more teens for money because they don't really, for like us as kids, and this is probably not how everyone think of it, but we would just want to like, in kids' way, this is how we think. Because there's popular people, oh, I want to be popular, oh, I want to fit in, so I'm just going to step in and I want to do whatever I see them do, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to just fit in instead of just standing out and just looking how that's causing negative effects. That's probably why they have certain schools that, hey, we're trying to avoid this, but it's only making them worse at the same time. Because how are you telling us to avoid it if you're still teaching us about it?
And as a teen, we compare ourselves more to others than typically not always, because adults definitely give in to peer pressure. But the older you get, I don't want to say the less you care about other people's opinions, but you're more apt to stand out on your own to say no and speak up for yourself.
I'm not sure about what I'm about to say, but I definitely think that teenagers definitely don't think about the money that they spend on this type of stuff.
True.
Because they don't really think about it.
They don't have the financial concerns that, say, an adult would. You guys have come up with a lot of things that we haven't talked about before.
Or they can just do whatever they can to get their hands on it, stealing out of their parents' account and all the negative aspects of
And
it.
it's not
just
necessarily
to
affecting
get
themselves, it's
right,
affecting somebody
just
else.
to get that.
What about the fact that, how long do you think somebody that's 75, how many more years, if I've got that 75-year-old, he started vaping, he's using nicotine, and now I've got him hooked, so now I'm gonna get money from him, right? He's gonna be buying these nicotine products because they're addictive, but how long do you think they're gonna have him as a customer?
Not so
75.
long.
How long if I get a 14, 15, even 21-year-old, legal age, 21-year-old addicted to it, how long do you think I'm gonna have him as a customer?
Their totally body is not going to be able to take the much oxygen that they're putting in their body, so they're
Right.
totally going to pass very often.
Well, so health-wise, it is very likely they would pass sooner. But if I get a young person addicted, that's money. If you keep buying and buying and buying because you can't stop buying it, I'm going to have you as a customer a lot longer than I would say that somebody that's in their.
But at that same time, why? Okay, so we have the FBI, right? So we have the FBI we have the FBI agents, and they're going undercover. So if they're going undercover, I feel that that's a good opportunity to figure out who's doing what and how to stop these people from doing what
Jacqueline for
organization is
president.
causing this.
Jacqueline for president. You are wise beyond your years, and I love every topic that you're bringing up because you're right.
Because
You're right.
I know.
But I do need to. We gotta. But once we're done with this, I'll have some more time to talk about that because I could sit here and talk. I could sit here and talk to you all night. Pam's gonna kick me out of the room though. All right, so RJ Reynolds Tobacco Company executive said, "We don't smoke that stuff. We reserve that for the young, the poor, and the stupid." Take a second.
And usually that's the case when
Yeah.
it comes to advertising something negative.
Right.
Whoever is responsible for it usually don't partake in it.
No, they're not gonna partake in it because it's gonna shorten their life.
Right.
Excuse me?
And they're not gonna reap the benefits of getting all that
Correct.
money.
Correct.
So everything is revolved around money.
It's
They
all-
don't care how they get it, who gets
buys
hurt in
it.
the process,
Right.
young people, old people, as long as they
Right.
can get that
The bottom
profit, that's all they care about.
Right. Yes, real quick, because Ms. Pam told me I gotta wrap it up 1 minute ago.
They pretty much killing the youth purposely because the more people die, that's that. They taught us that in school. Like they teach us about the Tea Party. The more tea that they was given, that was death. That's how made the country broke and stuff. So the more people that die off of it, the more bodies, more money, because you need money to bury somebody. All that money goes back to the government. And that's just how they continue the cycle until you realize what's actually going on.
And why they're targeting. All right, so the 4 P's of targeting teens: products, promotion, price, and placement. So these are kind of the 4 areas that they look at in targeting products, the fun, sweet flavors, makes it attractive. Promotion, where they're promoting it, looking for cool ads. Look at the one in that bottom right corner, it's right beside the Dippin' Dots, right? Price, $20 off. Placement, eye level, social media ads. Looking at that gentleman right there, what do you think about? There's no word, not looking at the words above it. So we're talking about mistruths and implied messaging. If you look at that gentleman, there's no words around him saying anything about him. But what would you assume by looking at that cartoon?
Living off the effects that shouldn't be known on the world or shouldn't be
Well,
given to
no,
me.
just that cartoon right there. If you looked at that picture of that gentleman, what would you assume about that gentleman right there? Yes. Yes. Yes, sorry, Emmanuel. Yes, what were you gonna say?
He doesn't care what's going on. He doesn't care about the effect. He just care about the money.
Well, I'm not saying he's a tobacco executive or anything. You just looked at that picture. Would you say he's poor?
No, he's rich.
No, we would think he was rich. It doesn't, nothing says he's rich, right? That doesn't say this guy is rich, right? It's just a picture, right? But we would assume he's rich because he's sitting on the money. Is there something else we would assume? One more thing?
Something
He just
that
conned
we-
a whole bunch of people.
Do what?
He conned a whole bunch
Right?
of people.
Would we assume he's sad? No, right? We would assume he's happy. So we're just talking about, I know you guys are doing great. You guys are you're on another depth level that is awesome. But looking at him, we're just talking about, here's an image that has no words. What would you assume by it? You assume he's rich. He's got his hair done, right? He doesn't have scraggly hair, kind of put together. He's not sad, he's happy. I would assume maybe he's a businessman because of his suit. These are all things that I would assume by looking at the picture, and there's no words.
My
So that's
brain
kind
is just thinking like non-scarred Two-Face.
Can I have 1 more minute? Okay. So implied messaging, we're talking about what tactics that tobacco companies have used to attract the teens. Freedom and individuality, popularity and fitting in, being attractive and good looking, and adventure and having fun. So we'd go through these ads. On the right is a real ad, and then talk about which one of those on the left fits with that ad. So we don't really have time to talk about it a whole lot, but if you look at the one on the right, your vape your way, choose the color, taste, and nicotine level that matches your style. What one do you think? And she has some tattoos, she's doing some graphing, some art. What one of those? Give me one that you think would apply to this picture.
First,
The first one? Which is,
I would say the third one.
okay, yeah, being attractive and good looking. She looks like she has some pretty cute hair.
I would say the fourth
She's
one.
they're all probably right. Adventure and having fun. They're doing art. We associate art with having fun, right? Freedom and
I don't
individuality.
really see
It says
number 2 though. The second one.
Popularity and fitting in. Maybe not. I mean, there's tattoos. Maybe that's, I don't know. All right. So implied messages. Art has no rules. This is a social media post. And then it says, Views offers more ways to express yourself with color choices in teal, blue, gold, silver, rose gold, and slate. What do you think?
I totally would not even see that as a big thing.
Yes, you're right. So to
Yeah,
me, that was trying to get somebody that's not looking for a vaping ad, right? If I was scrolling social media and I saw art has no rules, if I was scrolling and saw a big picture of a vape, I'd just keep around going because I don't care nothing about a vape. But if I scrolled and I liked art and I saw art has no rules, I might be like, wait, what? What is this? You know, and look deeper into it. They've got my attention. Yes.
That's the main important fact about art has no rules. That's almost like the commercial. It's almost like that. Because
Okay.
remember, it says art has no rules. We're kids. We don't think like adults. So we're thinking we probably won't have any effects back to this. Like, oh, it's just fun. We probably won't have any effects about that. And that fits into just being just wanting to have fun.
Something that
Yeah.
I've thought about is the fact that they post like vaping ads and stuff on YouTube and all this stuff, but when it comes to live TV for kids channels and stuff like that, you don't see it at all. Even
Right.
for like teen channels, you don't see it.
They're doing it, it's just not being shown.
As much. I mean, I think that's some of trying to get it regulated under some control,
And
but
question about when you said that it's being brought into social media. When it's being brought into social media, why isn't, let's say for example, Instagram? There's a lot of stuff that as teenagers shouldn't be seeing, or you scroll past and like, we wish we didn't see that. Why are they promoting that on Instagram too? Why
That's
is
a
it?
great
Why?
question.
I mean, because
Really?
like if I go
you
on
have
my
so many
settings
great
right now-
questions. I wish I had answers.
Because, like,
that's
if
where
I go
our
on my
kids are
settings-
gonna see it at, so.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Because
that's
if
what
I,
we spend most of our time.
And now I do say too that now this doesn't fully answer that question, but it kind of touches on that one in your question earlier about why are they allowed to do this, that, and the other. I do tell the classes that it's kind of like we have all these things that are illegal out there or not allowed, but the police can only do so much. We have no idea what Bob is doing in his house, and we have no idea what such and such is doing in his house. So this doesn't touch exactly what you're talking about, but it is a matter of being able to control all the things. And there's only so much within our control. Vaping as a whole is, I wanna say, fairly new. And I mean fairly new as far as it hasn't been around as cigarettes or other illicit drugs. So as we're learning and we're starting to gain ground and gain traction, we are working with other people in the community as well to try to get the education out. Hold on just a second, Miss Pam. I can be at a stopping point. So I just wanted to let you know, as far as going further on slides, we're okay. But yeah.
Okay.
Do you wanna go?
okay, yes. My last question is, I'm not blaming our history, but when it came to history, I learned that British was trading and different taxes and all of that, and they were also trading in tobacco, and that was like if you was to ask a student like me or a classmate that's in my class, and you would say, what is the main topic of trading? They will most likely say, oh, it's tobacco and it's this and it's that, but they're only gonna know that it's tobacco.
Remember the tobacco. I will say back then, I mean, I wasn't back then, but not quite that old, but there was a lot of information we didn't know too. I would be pretty certain that they didn't really know the full health effects of tobacco. I am also probably 99% sure we are doing things today that we think are very healthy, and we will find out later that that was a bad idea. There's a lot of things that we know are bad and we make those choices, but it takes time, a lot of times, and it takes a long time sometimes to realize what is really good and what is really bad.
It also may
For
take you
us.
some time for you to realize that something might not be as it seems, because for some reason, people give words to good things and then also really bad things, but make the names really similar. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
confused.
you're right. That's another marketing strategy. You're absolutely right. You guys are way too smart. We need 2 hours, Miss Pam. I love it. Your depth and your knowledge and your ability to communicate your thoughts is amazing. It's awesome. It's been
Very engaging.
yes, and I appreciate it. It's a lot better than rolling around and not getting blank stares. I
Much more
much
engaging than
prefer.
survey.
I much prefer the responding and the interaction. So it's fantastic.
And this is a lot
Yeah.
more interactive than the meetings that's in Meta, that's for sure.
No, that's all right. We're gonna get them going.
I actually have a question for that guy right there, but I don't know your name.
My name's Caleb.
Okay, so hello, Mr. Kill.
Caleb.
Caleb? Okay, sorry, I incorrectly said your name. Well, I have a question for you. You were in the Big Nasera and you were in the 2 meetings, right? Correct? So, since you understood what was going on in those 2 meetings, how would you try to avoid all of those bad effects? Like, what would you specifically say to the government? Because I'm pretty sure it's not just me that want to talk to the government about tobacco and all of the disgusting things that we shouldn't put in our body that affects us. What's your impact on that?
I more question why they name the things they do for so closely similar to other names that have nothing to do with that one thing. Because they give it name like Tabasco and tobacco. Not like very similar but not the same thing and nothing like the same thing. Why do they name it so similar? Like why would they do that?
My quick question is, for that facting, I would say, most likely I would say, maybe it's not actually the great idea to actually make tobacco and to send it off to trades in different countries and to revolve it and thinking it's okay. And not only that, the government still remembers, oh, it's okay, but it's not okay because it still affects it. As long as we get enough money, that's all. I figured that is not good, and that us people and us adults and us children need to talk about that and speak up about that to the government. Maybe we can fight and protest and still make it our business to stop this tobacco. But I can't say that word right, but I'm saying,
Tobacco?
yeah, tobacco.
And that's actually a great message.
I
Was there
feel
another
like
time?
Huh?
Was there another time? You're good.
Oh no, we're good. We're okay.
Because that is actually part of the reason why the Youth Council partnered with the Health Department in having Catch My Breath, in the hopes that it would bring more teens present to be able to have the exact conversation that y'all are having today. So great dialogue, great questions, great interaction. You're definitely asking the right questions.
Mm-hmm.
The unfortunate side of it is we can't answer those questions on the level that you want those answers.
nor do we probably have the time for answering said questions to be answered.
But what you have done is seen what is the possibility of what's taking place locally. How is your school handling vape? What are they doing now? Have they identified it as an issue? If the school has identified it as an issue, what are the counteracts that's coming against it? If they haven't identified it as an issue, but you yourself know that every time you're walking down the halls, you're seeing the puffs go out, or I've even heard about it in classrooms, that there will be puffs of smoke going in the classrooms while the teacher is teaching. You know, that's something to now bring forth to your administration and say, hey, we have a problem with vape. What can we do in our schools to help do that?
But not only that, when you're talking about the Board of Education, there was.
Not even for the Board of Education, but
The
just
Board
in
of
your
Starting
school.
on a
Very
smaller-
unjust thing.
So you're starting within your
Smaller.
school first.
Yeah.
So when you go to school, you're like, okay, vice principal, principal, do we have a vape policy? Is there a vape policy? And if they say, no, we don't have a vape policy, that could be the starting point of where you're starting here to work your way up.
I would definitely say that the Board of Education is basically just a smaller government for kids in school.
But can you repeat everything you said? Because you're talking very low and I can't really hear you.
I would say that the Board of Education is basically just a government, like a small government for kids in school.
Right. When it comes to the Board of Education, what are they doing? Are they talking about that to the government? Because it seems like something's not being done. When it's talking about tobacco, hey, we need help about tobacco. Why hasn't this been done? Are they going to the government or the government on top of them saying, what's going on here? Because it's not seeming to help our school. It's only making it much worse.
I feel like they have much bigger things to worry about, like the fact of how many shootings and stabbings and
Okay, talk
stuff
about that. When you're talking about stabbing and shooting, when you're talking about that, so we're going to school. Why should we have to worry about watching our back when we're going to school if we are supposed to be protected? There are not going to be two police officers always there at once. What are two police officers going to do in that one school, and there's a whole bunch of students, and there's only probably 5 or 4 teachers because they're jumping out in and out. And I just got one of my teachers that I was supposed to have in DHS jumped out. That's fact 1. Fact 2, you must, you really gonna say, we don't want our kids to feel like a criminal, but at the same time, there are people that's coming in with armed weapons that shouldn't be there. Where is security? Where are the things that you guys used to have when y'all were younger, when y'all used to come into school, and they will make sure that you check your book bag and make sure that there was no weapons in your book bag, so when you go into school, there won't be no problem. Why aren't there security?
Y'all have just created the agendas for the upcoming meetings. So, and I say that, I say that truthfully, because we have literally had conversations about the school shootings. We've had conversations with our Jacksonville Police Department. We haven't had conversations yet with the school board, but that is what the Youth Council is for. That's the purpose of the Youth Council. So we need more of the input. We need more of people that have that same passion or just have that same drive to help figure out what are the things that's not being done that we can kind of help implement. So you're definitely on the right track.
Okay.
So, yes, sir.
Some of those people that's in charge, they're the ones that's really lacking. And when you tell them stuff like that, it goes one area in and out the other. Like she was saying, this is a military town. We know it's military on the base, but it should be military also in the school. 2 polices can't take out, God forbid, what if it's 3 shooters? You really think 2 polices can really do all of that by themselves? That's not enough. It should be maybe 5 of them.
I don't even
Or more
think
security.
half the time that there are 2 police officers. Because I've only seen 1 police officer in
Most
Northside.
schools only have 1, especially if they don't have.
Yeah,
a lot.
about that,
You're
and
looking at
not only
over 1 or 2,000
I love y'all's
kids.
passion. Your passion is, and you're in the right place. You're in the right.
They have the
you're-
right
this is the club.
conversations, yeah.
You're in the right conversation
Yeah.
in the right club because this fantastic lady, Miss Pam, she is definitely the one that I feel like can harness all of this knowledge and this energy and this passion in the right place to help you focus it to be heard.
Right.
To be heard. And be heard by the right people, too.
So, what I want you to do is write down all your thoughts, questions that you've had tonight. Not now, but when you get.
Not now, though. Keep your doors open for another 2 hours.
Not now, but I do want you to write down, because those are things that we need to see, like what are the issues, and that's the purpose of this. And that's why we encourage to have more students come from the various schools, because the issues that you may be having and the issues you may be having, other schools may be having the exact same issue. And so if we all come together and have that conversation and realize, hey, there's not a policy, hey, there's not anything in place to kind of curve whatever activity is taking place, then that's where our brainstorming comes together to say, okay, this is what we think should be happening, and then this is what we propose to happen, and then we present it to the right boards to make it happen. So don't walk away thinking it's not gonna take place, but I want you to be able to take time to write down all the questions that you have in the thought process, and even the solutions that come from it, because those are gonna be opportunities. Next month, we have session 4
Yes.
and finishing up session 3 of the vaping. And then we'll be able to start kicking off and seeing where we need to go with those and start doing the brainstorming. All right. Updates that I have, I do want to thank you for our youth council members that were able to participate in our spring break cleanup. This is National Community Development Week, and that was the kickoff activity. So thank you very much for your attendance and helping clean up. If you got a chance to see it before and then saw what it looked like afterwards, you know that your time there was very valuable.
I don't think I was there for that one.
Yeah, there's going to be more activities. Don't worry, Dan.
She got more cooking up.
I got more, don't worry. Now, our next activity is elevator pitch. That is taking place on Thursday, April 27th, and that will take place right here in City Hall in our council chambers. This is an opportunity to be able to say who you are and what's your potential and what do you have to offer in 1 to 2 minutes. Have you ever been on an interview and the first question they say is, so tell me about yourself? And you're like, oh, I knew that was going to be the question, but I'm not prepared to tell you what to say. Elevator pitch is going to take you from not being able to explain who you are to being able to explain who you are. We have partnered with Toastmasters, the Onslow County branch here, and so they're going to teach us how table topics work, which is the official name, on being able to do an elevator pitch. And then we're going to practice doing our own elevator pitches, because on May 6th, we have our teen volunteer job fair, and that is an opportunity for you to speak with different employers and different volunteer agencies. So if you're looking for volunteer hours or if you're looking for a job, that will give you the opportunity to prepare for it. And so the teen volunteer job fair is May 6th. And it will be at Onslow Community Outreach, and the hour is going to start at 11 a.m. And that's on a Saturday. May 6th is on a Saturday. So with that being said, is there any last minute questions or comments?
I don't know if we should do that, because if we do
You might have a point. You might have a point. Well, I definitely thank y'all for your participation. Thank you, Chris and Amy, as always. And as always, our youth council is open to all high school students in grades 9 through 12. It's open to 8th grade. Bring her on. She's in 7th. I can't say that out loud. But we do want any and every teen to come out here. We would love to have this room filled. Prior to COVID, we actually met in council chambers and we would have that room filled up with teens. So we are pushing to go back to that level.
I actually do have like one quick question.
Yes, sir.
You were talking about like the adult question thing. Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to you. Yeah. As soon as she wraps up, I'll give it to you. Thank you.
All right, so our next one is the first Wednesday. So we're back at the first Wednesday. We moved this month due to spring break, but we're back on schedule in May.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank y'all very much, and y'all be safe getting home.
Totally.